Have you checked the children?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Fuego here.
And here we are about a year later after
Yes.
we did our last bit of coverage on The Umbrella Academy. So this Netflix series dropped last year, or was it 2018? I think it was 2018 actually, or was it 2019? Maybe it was 2019.
I can't
Doesn't
recall.
matter. One of those
Anyway,
years. Whenever
I know it
it
says
dropped.
on this now a Netflix original series. So
Yeah.
there you go.
So they dropped season 1, and we actually reviewed the first season, and we reviewed the first volume of the Umbrella Academy comic books. But technically, that first season took aspects from volume 2 as well.
It was an amalgamation. It was kind of cherry picking story aspects to.
Indeed. So that's what we're here to review, is the second volume of the Umbrella Academy, which is called Dallas. Now that was a 6-issue series, but we're also going to be including a one-shot, which is the first of the new sort of thing, which is Umbrella Academy Presents, or Tales from the Umbrella Academy. You see at the bottom there?
Present them.
Hazel and Cha-Cha Save Christmas. This was a one-off issue. It's actually the most recent thing that has come out from the Umbrella Academy, and the first
even after
came out after Hotel Oblivion, yeah.
All right.
And or maybe in and amongst it, but it's the first of a Tales series. They want to do other side stories from Umbrella Academy, but because Hazel and Cha-Cha play such a prominent role in not only the Dallas series but the TV series, I figured we'd go ahead and include it. Now, again, most of the stuff from this series was already put in season 1, which is the Hazel and Cha-Cha stuff. The main plot, which I'm going to let Fuego go into, was not in there, and we are guessing that it is not going to be a part of season 2. We're guessing that season 2 may have more to do with volume 3 than anything else, but we're going to go ahead and review it nonetheless, because this one is time travel and JFK and all kinds of good stuff, but just not what they're probably going to focus on for the show.
Yeah, so there's I mean, as far as overall impressions go,
Yes.
I love Gerard Way. I feel like his writing is very dense, and sometimes the essence of the mythology, especially after I had taken a little bit of time away, year and a half, whatever it was, from this particular series, there was some stuff that I struggled to recall the exact, just relationships of a lot of these characters, because they are very complex in all of these different children of our deceased, super rich heir who was kind of put this team together when they were kids, and then they started, doing stuff even later, reteaming and getting back together after his funeral, which we saw in the first series and also in the first season of the show. But I mean, really, do you see a little bit of Ellen Page's character, who is the violin girl who was corrupted by the cult,
right,
and everything like that? There's honestly only certain names that I recall, because I love my number 5 and I love Klaus, and and there's those characters that I really just fixated upon, and they're the ones who actually have the most to do in a lot of ways in this. Number 5 especially, because of the fact that you realize the extent of the time traveling that he is doing, the organization that he gets involved with, which Cha-Cha and Hazel are actually kind of involved with as well. So there is that conflict of interest, but this was still compelling stuff. I can make my Stephen King comparisons. I believe 11/22/63 had already come out, but how could either averting or making certain that the assassination of JFK and all of the reverberating aspects of it, it's almost like, if you killed Hitler before the Holocaust transpired. It's something that's debated amongst a lot of people, but we get an older version of number 5, and he's bearded and everything, and we also get the stuff which was incorporated into season 1 of the Netflix show with Klaus being in Vietnam, so that's another bit that is in here. So it's tough at this point when you try to separate the continuity of the comics versus the continuity of the actual television series in a lot of ways.
Because here we see Rumor from the first season, and I think she did get her throat cut by the end of the first season, so now she's going to be stuck writing notes like this Rumor is, at least for the first part of the series. And as you can see, she is taking care of her sister who is still crazy from the first series.
Yeah, she's
and is trying to bring her back a little bit.
She's in rehabilitation. She's in just
well, it's sort of rehabilitation. It's
little
also
bit.
she's torturing her. She's putting her in front of TVs showing all of her crimes to make her pay for what she did to everyone.
Yeah, it is a little bit of both, you know.
But then we have Kraken as well, who is the assassin, who they never actually really referred to as Kraken in the series, but
that's
he, he's the brother, the kind of cool one that just comes in and out every now and again. That's
right.
him. Yeah,
that's right. Damn. Yeah, I forgot. That aspect I forgot about, but.
And then the mom, who is just a doll, essentially.
Yeah, being a cyborg herself, and brought in. She actually has a couple moments in both this and the third volume where she is consoling our youngest character. I believe she's the youngest character, at least. Ellen Page's character. What the hell is her name? I'm trying to remember.
I'm trying to find it. And
our proverbial violin girl, unfortunately. Yeah. But she is trying to not only deal with the just hatred and like lingering resentment from the other members of the family, but also kind of trying to like screw her head back on straight, and really one of the only ones in this volume and in the third one where she spreads her wings a little bit and becomes a little more confident once again. It's that cybernetic mother, which was built by Hargreaves, I want to say.
Hargreaves,
Hargreaves,
the old man.
Exactly, the father. And it gets, dare I say, convoluted at times with so many, just timeline jumping and, travel and so on and so forth, and just you do get a lot of the stuff with, Hazel and Cha-Cha, and a little bit more of the pulling back of the curtain and the hilariousness of their just sweet affinity, the fact that they just want to get sugared up all the goddamn time, and also the fact that they are just very brash and just, I don't know, reckless in the way that they do their jobs and whatnot. As they're
they're very fun. Their introduction in the comics for Hazel and Cha-Cha is super entertaining because they're just at a diner and someone they order some pie and the cook happens to come out of the kitchen and be like, "Oh, if I gave you the recipe, you'd have to kill me," or something like that. And they're like, "Really?" And so it ends up, unfortunately for the cook, where they torture him just for fun. But it's cool that they brought the masks into the show from Hazel and Cha-Cha, but they're really great characters.
Yeah, which I wasn't honestly sure if they were going to do because it was very much a carryover from the Danger Days comic series, or excuse me, album that MCR did, and that sort of design of, some of those futuristic post-apocalyptic characters that were going around, killing and drinking and blah blah blah, being silly and whatnot. But it's dense stuff, and there is a ton going on as far as that story without getting completely spoilery.
And there's also a sub story going on in the background leading into Volume 3 about a man taking over his father's corporation.
And that's the son that I was referring to, because he only has a few brief mentions in this, and his father shows up in Volume 3 in a different capacity when there is something plot-wise that goes down. But, I mean, major props to Gabriel Ba?
Gabriel Ba.
Yep. Yeah, and, obviously you've got Dave Stewart, Nate Piecos, but
Dave Stewart also did the colors on one of the other ones we just reviewed recently as well.
Yeah.
But here, so this is the credit sheet. We have story by Gerard Way, art by Gabriel Ba, and then other people down low here.
And that's what I'm trying to double check.
Dave Stewart.
There was a major break. So this was 2009 when this initially was published, and so he took almost a 10-year break from the property, and the resurgence of it and him just reapproaching it. Obviously, it's synchronized with the Netflix show, so it made sense to finally make a return. And he'd been doing, as in Gerard Way, he'd been writing Doom Patrol for a while at this particular point, and I still believe that he is. And Luis, occasional collaborator on this with us. Oh yeah, that's right. Where he's talking to God. Yeah.
As John Wayne, essentially.
Yeah, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, but Klaus has some interesting story in this volume, but. Sorry, continue. Oh, I didn't show this cover. But so this is actually, I think, my least favorite of the Umbrella Academy volumes.
I will actually agree. This one felt the least superhero.
One I think is the best, then 3, and then this one. This is just it's a little too much for me.
Even
you know?
the flashing back to the kid stuff that we get both in 1 and 3, I enjoy that backstory and the fact that we return to it once they, came back for that 3rd volume with Hotel Suite and everything. This one is good, but it felt like a retread of certain themes that I had seen before, and it's still compelling when we have our inevitable just showdown with all of these different members of the Umbrella Academy that have been jumping between, different time periods and in some cases timelines and all of the different ripples that transpire.
Number
from
5 specifically.
Any alterations. Number 5 being the main one. And I mean, one of my favorite episodes from that original Netflix series was where he was in that post-apocalyptic future and he was just dragging his crap in the middle of nowhere where pretty much everybody is dead and he's one of the only remaining to that Liam Gallagher song, which is really cool. But yeah, I mean, even the Klaus stuff here, I think is pretty solid.
Oh yeah,
which they folded in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets pretty aggressive too. Like, I love the artwork by Gabriel Ba. It's really, really impressive stuff.
Do you have anything else offhand that he's done besides this? I'm trying to...
No, I mean, this is what I know him for. I didn't...
Yeah, Two Brothers,
I'm sure he's done
Day
some
Tripper,
other stuff.
yeah.
Oh, Day Tripper was another really big one, yeah. I don't actually have Day Tripper, but...
Yeah, this being Dark Horse, so, I mean, Dark Horse prominent as they come at this particular point.
But this story, while it's good, it's more... I enjoy it more for the character building of the Umbrella Academy than for the story itself and what happens.
Okay, I can feel it.
So, as a character building series, I think it's worth reading, but I just personally don't think it's nearly as good as the other 2 series. That's issue number 5, which we didn't show, and then here is the cover to issue number 6, where everything sort of comes to a head and
chisel hitting the fan and so on and so forth.
I mean, the artwork is fantastic. It's got definitive bold line work. It's got interesting character models and interesting angles, and it's a really fun book to just read through based on the art that Gabriel is providing, and
it has
Gerard
a very
provides an interesting
style.
story too.
Yeah.
So I mean, all in all, it's still a solid book. It's still in amongst all of the other comics that are out there. It's still of the higher tier. It's just when you compare it with the other parts of the series, or with the other series in the overall arcs, it's just not quite as good.
It almost felt like a segue, a sort of side story, because of the fact that in that 3rd volume, which we're going to review here in just a little bit, that's where some of the stuff that had been sewn going as far back as the 1st volume really kind of came into play, and we got a little bit of fulfillment in that regard. This one was just, I mean, a primarily geared number 5 side mission, and the full extent of that just time transporting work that he had done, and all of the nasty effects that it had in certain aspects, I guess. So
right, and then this is the newest thing that they put out, Hazel and Cha-Cha Save Christmas. This is done by a different artist by the name of Scott Alley, as opposed to Gabriel Ba. Or I'm sorry, this is actually Tommy Lee Edwards doing the artwork. Scott Alley is, I believe, so he helped Gerard Way with the story. Okay, it is Tommy Lee Edwards doing the artwork, because Tommy Lee Edwards has made a name for himself doing a bunch of stuff, but he's done a lot of Marvel stuff, so he has a very distinct style, and it's really interesting the way they display Hazel and Cha-Cha. There's still a lot of good action and explosions and gore and stuff like that, but you can tell that it's a completely different art style than the rest of the series.
True, and I was most amused by just the constant dialogue between the 2 of them about the nature of Santa Claus, if he actually exists or not, which is, confirmed one way or the other in some aspects, and also just the constant banter between the 2 of them, also them being reprimanded early on, but like, hey, we're sending you on this new mission, but you are not allowed to commit as much collateral destruction, because that's what causes these proverbial ripples that we were talking about, and that's what messes everything up. So,
apparently, they're time agents, which is kind of barely glossed over, I feel like, in the original in the Dallas series. This is way more focusing on the fact that they correct issues in time.
Oh yeah, them having co-workers that are giving them crap and everything about the fact that, on that last mission, remember what you did, and so that's why they're putting the reins on you and reeling you back a little bit. So,
but it was, I gotta be honest, while it's fun seeing Hazel and Cha-Cha back, the
It's
comic itself was a bit
relatively
underwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man.
So this second volume of Umbrella Academy, while worth reading if you're going to have the whole story, I just don't think it's as good as the other one. So if you're only going to choose a couple of volumes, go with 1 and 3. But if you want the whole story, this is the way to go. You got to get this one too, because Vanya is the violinist.
Okay. And the crazy thing is that really not much of anything happens with her aside from a little bit of that ridicule,
A little
and
bit of
just,
rehabilitation.
and just like seeing that she is trying to get her head screwed back on straight. Recall what she did in the previous volume. They don't really give any sort of like growth until volume 3. So in some ways, side story, like I said for this one, you could potentially jump from 1 to 3 and be pretty okay because they don't reference as much.
Yeah.
Of what happened in Dallas. So. Yeah.
So guys, I think that's going to do it for our review of Umbrella Academy Volume 2 Dallas and the Hazel and Cha-Cha one-shot Save Christmas. We're trying to do these leading up to the release of the second season of the Umbrella Academy, which we will be reviewing as well, but at least this will be all caught up on the comics as well. So stay tuned. Next week, you'll probably see the review of Volume 3, and then you'll see our review of the series second season rapidly after that. But
Debuting July 31st on Netflix. Just
There you go.
To mark your calendars.
there you go. So thanks very much for watching. Thank you very much to our patrons for supporting the channel. If you want to become a patron, the link is in the description box. You can tell us movies to review, commentate on, things like that, depending on what tier you choose. But thank you to those of you that support the channel that way. If you
Appreciate
enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
And gracias, Jaime and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.